Hey guys, it's Zyrel here and welcome back to a new video. This is actually going to be a new cheap art supply challenge for you guys because I've been meaning to do a new one. So recently I went to Family Dollar and I picked up some markers, and the markers are Liquimark washable super tip markers. And the reason why half of them are gone is because I tested these out before this video, and let's just say exactly half of the markers are dead. They're legit dead and I cannot use them, and these are the only colors that work. But luckily these are washable markers, so I could use these in a watercolor kind of medium type of thing, so hopefully I can revive a little bit of the color. So yes, so that's basically it for this half, and I can't really show you the drawing because it is not done. I'm currently working on it. So I will see you guys at the speed paint portion, so I will see you there. Okay, so now we are at the speed paint portion, and I have a lot to rant to you guys about, but I'm just going to explain my drawing and then go from there. So originally I wanted to draw my original Spyro humanized versions of Spyro and Cinder from the Spyro game, Spyro the Eternal Night. That game made me cry buckets every time my brother beat it, and I decided to make humanized versions of Spyro and Cinder because I really wanted to do cute ship art with them, and I never really went anywhere with these two characters, so they just kind of stayed in my old sketchbooks and never came out. But since I was only limited to 10 colors, that plan changed and I just made these two random people, so yay. So going on to the coloring, I actually didn't struggle as much with deciding what colors I wanted to use. The only thing I struggled with a lot is how these markers laid down. So I'm just going to tell you guys that I bought these markers at a $3 value, so they're not cheap and they're not expensive. They're kind of midway, but I really loved how vibrant the markers were. They were not dull colors. They are very vibrant, but when they are dry, they become less vibrant. So that's the reason why this video is like almost 17 minutes, because I had to layer upon layer upon layer and upon more layers these colors together to get the colors to be dark enough. And even when doing that, it still wasn't dark. So near the halfway mark of this video, I used colored pencils because I'm like, screw the markers, I'm just gonna use off-branded colored pencils just to give me the darkness that I want. And I actually do show the colored pencils, so just in case you guys think I'm using Prismacolor, I am not. So yes, so using water with these markers, they were not hard to blend with water. The only thing that kind of made me upset was that you could never keep the same color that you get the first time you dip it in water. You kind of have to dip it a few more times to get the same color you were using, and that's pretty much the struggle I really had with these markers. Like, if I had to give them a rating out of 10, I will give them a 4 out of 10 because they were really good and vibrant. They worked really well with water because a lot of markers say they are washable, but technically they are not washable when it comes with water. But I'm glad these kind of lived up to the washable name. The only reason why I'm giving these such a low score is just because I just really didn't like the fact that when I laid them down, they lightened instead of darkened. But like a lot of people say, you get what you pay for. So I guess that's what I really can say. I got what I paid for, which was 10 alive markers and 10 dead markers. So thank you, Family Dollar. So yes, so I actually really loved how this picture turned out. I actually free-handed the background because I originally just drew them two, as you saw when I first started coloring the image. And then once I looked at my Spyro and Cinder design I did in a really old sketchbook, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're in front of rocks. So I decided to add the rock element in the drawing. And then once I added the rocks and kind of colored them a little bit, I'm like, I don't know if I want to keep the full rock background because I just wasn't into it. So as the more I kept coloring, I'm like, wait a minute, I could add grass around them. As soon as I added the grass, the picture came through. Like, it literally came through. And then I'm like, what about the rest of the background? And I decided to kind of play a pun, and I just made the sky a nighttime sky because eternal night. And I actually added a moon behind them because on the case it looks like Spyro is in front of a moon. So I'm like, I have to add somewhat of the game elements into this picture. So all in all, I really love how this picture turned out. It literally almost took me 3 hours to color because of these markers and how hard they were to stay consistent in color. So yeah, and I actually used some Georgia Pacific cardstock for the paper choice. I sketched the sketch with a Prismacolor Col-Erase pencil, and I lined it in a Prismacolor liner. Yeah, Prismacolor. Let me see. Yeah, it was Prismacolor, right? Yep, Prismacolor liner and a size of 03. And another thing to say about these markers, they do stain the back of this cardstock paper. So they're kind of like the cheap version of Copics, but they're not Copics. They're like the Copic version of washable markers because Copic stained through the paper, and these stained heavily through the paper because once you add a lot of layers, the colors just kind of go to the back. So I would not recommend using these markers on computer paper because I had a lot of trouble with this cardstock paper holding them. So I would recommend using some cardstock paper, most stuff, if you really want to use some washable markers, because yeah. So I think that's about it for the drawing in total and the supplies and what I had came across with hardships with it. Like, it's pretty straightforward, I think. So yes, that is it for the drawing, coloring, and whatnot. But I really like this cheap art supply challenge better because my first one I got some watercolors. I got watercolors. And I did a simple drawing of Aiko, just a face shot, and I really felt like I could have used the medium a lot better, because if you do a headshot, what are you really doing with the supply? You're not really using it. So I really made sure that I did a fuller image so you guys can see that I really tried using the 10 colors I had to use and all in all, because I didn't really want to waste the medium, but yet I didn't want to, you know, cop out and do something simple because I only had 10 colors. If you kind of feel what I feel. So yeah, so I like this one a lot better. It pushed me a lot as an artist because I am not one for limited color palette challenges. I kind of stick with what I got, but just the fact that I had cheap markers and the fact that I had only 10 of them to work with, it really pushed me a lot, really. So I really do like that. Another thing I forgot, these markers are still alive. Like, I used them throughout this whole picture, taking away the colored pencil side, and none of them died. So go markers. A lot of people I've seen has bought some similar markers and they have died within the matter of finishing the picture. But I think with these markers, if you use them like watercolor, they're not going to die on you. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with these markers because I just bought them for a video. So maybe I'll use them for like colored backgrounds in my sketchbook or something like that. I don't know. I'll figure out a use for them. Maybe I'll just use them for writing because I just got so frustrated with these markers. Anyways, my thoughts and all about the cheap art supply challenge. Like I said in the beginning of the video, you don't need expensive art supplies to make artwork. The only thing that is kind of a downfall with cheaper art supplies, if you leave them in the sun for too long, your colors will fade. So I typically keep my artwork in like a folder and a binder, and I have a lot of artwork that I have done with Crayola mediums, and they still kept their original color because I haven't kept them in the sun for too long. So if you do get cheaper supplies, make sure you keep them out of the sun so you can still see the same colors you have used over the periods of time. But yeah, that's one downfall. They do not survive really well in the sun. Another bad thing about cheaper supplies is that you may not get the same vibrancy that you would get in more expensive art supplies. But like I said, get colored pencils and add it on top, and you can get that vibrancy that you want. Like, you don't need to depend on one medium to get what you want, because there's a lot of things out there and you can combine a lot of different mediums together. So vibrancy in one thing really is an excuse to me. So just saying. But yeah, you don't need a lot of arts. You don't need expensive art supplies to make a good drawing. A lot of younger artists, I really do think, once they see their favorite artist using a medium that they think really is cool, they're like, I want it. And I really feel like you really need to step back and say, hey, by me getting this medium, is it really going to improve what I'm doing? Yes, I may be using a lot better supplies, but will my artwork look a lot better because I'm using an expensive supply? And I'm not being mean, I'm just being realistic with you guys, because when I started YouTube, I used Crayola coloring pencils. I've used Crayola coloring pencils for a long time on my channel, and I think I got my Prismacolors when I was either in 11th or 12th grade. So I didn't start my channel off with Prismacolors. I started off with Crayolas, and I was content with that. And a lot of people honestly thought I was using Prismacolors because of how well I could use Crayolas, because regardless of the medium, if you find your own way to use that medium to your liking, you don't need anything else. You could be content with that. And I've seen a lot of other people use cheaper supplies and Copics, and they make amazing artwork. So don't get envious because your favorite artist use a much expensive art supply that makes their art look beautiful. Try to, love what you use, and try to see if you can use what you use to make your art beautiful. And I'm not saying your art isn't beautiful, because everyone's art is beautiful. No one has bad art. No one has terrible art. Everyone has beautiful art. And like I always say, we always start from somewhere. Our stories may not start the same, but our goals are always the same. We all strive to become better artists. We all strive to become better at what we do, and we all strive to let people see us for us, and to let people love what we do in our artwork. So yeah, so I know that was a long-winded speech, but I really needed to say something about that, because even when I started YouTube, I didn't really care about Copic markers. I have Copic markers now, but do I care to want more of them? No, I'm content with colored pencils, which everyone hates, and I'm just like, yes, they hurt your hands, but you learn to love them, because I really feel like with Copics, you rush throughout your artwork because it's a faster medium, but with colored pencils, you put a lot more time to kind of build up your layers, whereas the Copics, you have to be careful because it may get muddy, and with colored pencils, you can get the, what is that thing called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's the mud effect of color pencils, but at least you know how much the paper can take without, going overboard. So that's just my opinion. But yeah, I actually really do love this picture. I freaking love it. I will actually sell it in my online shop. I don't know if I want to go for that, because like I said, cheaper art supplies do not last in the sunlight if you keep them in the sun 24/7, but I'm pretty sure if you keep it in like a folder, it'll keep its colors. So it'll be in my shop if you guys want it. I will actually not have it like it is now. I will actually cut it into like a square, so it can have somewhat of a border, you know, because it looks really weird like that, and I'm like, ew, I don't like it. So yeah, so that's basically all I have to say. Excuse me guys, I'm still a little bit sick, so yeah. But if you guys have not done a cheap art supply challenge, I recommend you guys to do it. You don't have to do it because a lot of the time, cheap art supplies really isn't a challenge because you grew up using them and stuff. But if you really want to go back to the roots of what you started with, please do, because you'll find that you may have the skill to use it more than what you did when you were younger. So yes, so look forward to a Crayola colored pencil picture from me, because I want to do another one because I miss my Crayolas. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a like if you like it, give it a comment, give it a share, and let me know what you think. And if you've done a cheap art supply challenge, put it in my comment box below. So thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.